Hey scholars, I really appreciate you watching these videos on over the weekend on your free time. I really appreciate that and all the hard work that you've been doing this school year. Okay, so let's get started. On next week, we're going to go back to talking about informational text. Okay, before when we were talking about informational text, we were talking about text features. And just to remind us, some text features that we talked about we talked about titles, that's a text feature. And then at the front of the book, you'll find the table of contents. And the table of contents will be at the front of the book, and it tells you on what page would you find each topic. So that's the table of contents. We talked about illustrations, like you see here, and then look at that. There's the caption. You have the photograph or the illustration, you have the captions, you have the chapters, that's another text feature. Nature's power, that would be the chapter title or the heading. Okay. We also talked about bold words. You see one there. So these are some text features that we've talked about. But for next week, when we talk about informational text, we're going to look at the types and the different informational text that you guys will read. Okay. So the first thing that I want to teach you about informational text is the purpose. Okay. Now, the purpose of informational text is to explain or give information about a topic. So let me write that one. To explain or inform the reader about a topic. And the key words here would be inform and explain. When we talk about the purpose of something, scholars, and the author's purpose, there's three different purposes. We have persuade, inform, entertain. Informational text will always be to inform. It's giving you information. This nonfiction text right here is going to give you all the information that they have about wetlands. So the title gives you a huge clue about what the purpose is and what the information is going to be about. Okay. So now let's talk about the types of informational text. There's a few different types that I'm going to teach you today. Types of informational text. Okay. So the first type of informational text is called a biography. And you probably heard that word before in second grade. Okay, so let me write biography. Now, a biography, that's when an author is retelling the someone else's life story. Now, here's an example of a biography. It's about a person, so it's a true facts and details about a person's life. This one is Martin Luther King Jr. Now, Martin Luther King did not write this. Someone else wrote it. That's what makes it a biography. This is going to give you all the information that they have about Martin Luther King Jr., what he did, how he grew up, his birthday, where he was born, all of his accomplishments in life. This is going to be all about Martin Luther King Jr. but someone else wrote it, so that's what makes it a biography. But look, it still has text features. It still has photographs and captions. There's another photograph, and it has labels. It's telling you the different people in the picture. So let me write that. So a biography is the retelling of someone's life. So a biography is when the author retells someone else's life, but next we come across an autobiography. If Martin Luther King Jr. wrote this book himself, this would be an autobiography. Okay? So that's the retelling of factual events in someone's own life. Okay, so let me write that one. So this is called an autobiography. And a quick little side note, this word auto, it means self. So that means that that person wrote the story, wrote the book themselves. So an autobiography is retelling their own life. That's a key word. That means that the author wrote the book themselves, talking about themselves. So it's going to say, I was born on, and I grew up in, okay? But a biography, they wouldn't say I. It's not about them. A biography will probably say something like, Martin Luther King Jr. was born, he grew up, okay? So the wording is different between the two as well, okay? So also, another thing with informational text, it's steps in a process. Sometimes you'll read a story, sometimes you'll read a passage, and it's giving steps in a process. The first thing that comes to my mind is with cooking. If something is giving you a step-by-step, the order of how to cook something, how to make something, is going to give you the materials you need, the ingredients you need, and it's going to give you step-by-step of how to cook something or bake something. So that would be the explanation of a process. Okay, so just to recap, so far we have a biography. That's when someone else writes a story about another person. You have an autobiography. That's when a person is writing about themselves. And then you have steps in the process. Steps in the process is explaining the process of how to do something or how to make something. Now, the last type of informational text, we see it all the time. This is when you have information from your social studies books, from your science books, from any informational book that there is that's educational. Okay, so let me write that one. So you have information in social studies, your science, Another one would be your history books or art books. Okay, so your history books, social studies books, science books, that's when it's teaching you about a subject. Okay, so I'll just put teaching a subject. Okay, and that's it. We're done. The informational text, the purpose. Out of persuade, inform, or entertain, the purpose of informational text is always to inform the reader about a topic. The different types of informational text. A biography. Here's an example again. You have a biography. You could also have an autobiography when a person writes the story about themselves. You also have the steps in the process. That's when the author is explaining how to do something or how to make something. And then you have like a textbook, social studies books, science books, art books, and that's when it's teaching a subject. So I really appreciate your time watching the video. Be on the lookout for a Kahoot about the video, just to reiterate the knowledge on that you've just learned. And I'm very excited to see you guys on next week. Okay? Don't forget that you can stop the video, you can pause it, rewind it, watch it as many times as you need to so that you can keep and retain the information. Okay? Thank you.